Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. Coming up in today's newscast, 2 Israelis are badly wounded in a terror attack. The British government fights the BDS movement, and an Israeli soccer star may make it into the NFL. I'm Natasha Kirchuk here with the latest news in Israel. Two Israelis were wounded in a terror attack in North Jerusalem just hours ago.
One of the victims is around 20 years old and he's reportedly in moderate condition. The second 35-year-old victim has been more seriously wounded. The attack took place inside a supermarket in an industrial zone of northern Jerusalem, which is frequented by both Israeli settlers and Palestinian shoppers. 2 Palestinian stabbers were allegedly shot and neutralized at the scene and are in serious condition. Paramedics treated everyone that was wounded at the site of the attack.
The British government has officially unveiled a plan to discourage anti-Israel boycotts by local authorities.
The proposed law would make discrimination against Israeli suppliers in Britain illegal and would allow British lawmakers to prosecute the BDS movement. UK Cabinet Officer Minister Matthew Hancock says town hall boycotts have a number of negative effects, including fueling anti-Semitism. Hancock also claims that local boycotts hurt Britain's export trade and international relations.
It's a great pleasure to be here and to not only engage in a trade delegation, which I've brought with me, to see the very vibrant and innovative and exciting opportunities that there are for further trade between our nations. Our trade is at a record level. But also to be able to announce today that we are publishing new guidance for public authorities in the UK that makes clear that discriminating against members of the WTO, including Israel, is wrong and it is illegal and it must stop. And we do this because we believe in an open and free trade, and we believe that discrimination is not appropriate and should be stood up to.
The Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has welcomed the British decision. Netanyahu says the new rules will help in the battle against the international boycott, divest and sanction campaign against Israel.
I want to commend the British government for refusing to discriminate against Israel and Israelis, and I commend you for standing up to the one and only true democracy in the Middle East.
Looks like relations between the United Kingdom and the Palestinian Authority are turning sour. This week, a meeting between British lawmakers and Palestinian officials erupted. Now the British are questioning if peace with the current PA is even possible.
Palestinian Authority officials are slamming a group of British conservatives, saying they're responsible for the entire Israeli-Palestinian conflict. British lawmakers from the Conservative Friends of Israel group are visiting the Holy Land this week to meet with both Israeli and Palestinian government officials. But the British leaders say their trip took a bad turn during a meeting with the Palestinian Authority. The British delegation says things became tense when they discussed what could happen if elections were held today in the West Bank, saying there's a possibility that Hamas could beat the PLO. The discussion clearly outraged the Palestinian leaders, and the British claim the Palestinian officials began blaming them for the entire Israeli-Palestinian conflict because they're British. British lawmaker John Howell says the meeting has made him question if peace talks can be held with a Palestinian Authority. And he says it's hard to see how negotiations can be made with the current PA officials.
Meirav Ben-Ari is an Israeli politician who currently serves as a member of the Knesset for the Kulanu party. She's known for her work promoting education, welfare, and women's rights, and is here to give us a scoop on some of the new legislation she's been working on. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So you come from a background in education, and I understand that you actually just pushed this new legislation concerning education in low-income families. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I just passed it in this last week, and it was after 6 or 7 months of work in the legislation, in the committee of the Knesset, the Welfare Committee. This act would basically say that if you are coming from poor families or from single mom or single fathers that raise you alone, the government will give you 1,000 shekel per year Until my act, it was between first grade to 8th grade. And now, after this legislation, we will change it to high school also. And this act say that almost 70,000 young Israelis, boys and girls, will get it. And it costs about 30 million shekels to the budget of Israel. But when you are coming from the party that heading by the Ministry of Finance, you can do
right. You
really
can move things around.
You can move
bit.
things and you can do things for the society. And when I came to Kulanu party, one of my goals is to help these poor families. And I come also in my background, I'm from a single mom that raised me. So I promised her and promised another, families and children that live like me, that the government will help them to get more opportunity and more money for themselves.
Well, this is huge for education, but
Thanks.
I also actually understand that you're working on a new project that is dedicated to lonely soldiers, so soldiers that come from other countries to serve in the Israeli army.
Yeah, we have in Israel, we have a very large or big problem with the lonely soldiers because we give them a very important opportunity in the army, and then we take care about that they will have a house and even families during the part that they do in the army. But we sometimes, unfortunately, as a society and as a government, we forget that when they finish the army, most of them, they don't want to go back to their countries. They want to stay here. They love Israel. They want to stay here. They want to sometimes even have family, want to work here. And in the next few weeks, we are going to present this plan to the soldier and to the army.
You have had a very unique experience in your life. You actually were on a reality show searching for an Israeli leader, which you can tell us a little bit more about, and you won 5 million shekels. The big question is, what did you do with that money? And obviously, how has that experience influenced your role now in the Knesset?
It's very funny that you're asking me this today because I just came from the center that I built in my 5 million shekel, and I just gave them a lecture about my work in the Knesset to the young people that stay in this center. So from the beginning, I will tell you, I took the 5 million shekel and I built 2 centers for youth at risk in Netanya and in Herzliya. And those centers coming every day, many boys in the age of between 14 to 16, 17. They coming every day, they eat their lunch, they do their homework with students in small groups. And every day they had some after school activities because they don't have this at home. Because I think that education is the key for succeed in life. I think that education is key for youth at risk and youth from poor neighborhoods that want to change their life and they don't have the opportunity. And I worked there for about 10 years. It was an amazing job. I know it's really exciting, because I just came now. I met about 40 of my boys today.
Wow.
And they were amazing. They gave me flowers. They were really exciting that, as an MK, I'm coming to speak with them. But I spoke with them. I asked them, what are you thinking about? They asked me from electric bike to Bibi Netanyahu. They wanted to know. They were really interested. And I had really good luck, to do something for society, to get money from reality show and, to change the life of those boys. Because, I have boys that they're already like 20 or 22 years old. And still I have a really good connection with them. One of them getting married tomorrow, so I'm going to his wedding. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, when you are working with youth and risk, you change their life, you influence them, you give them a role model that they can see and they understand that they can change their life,
Absolutely. Well, it's great to see that you've been a huge inspiration so far to these kids, and I'm excited to see what you do in the future.
Thank you.
Thank
it's
you
really
so much
important.
for coming in.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Denmark has instituted a new medal in honor of a Jewish Israeli security guard. Dan Uzan stopped a terrorist from entering a Copenhagen synagogue just a year ago and prevented the massacre of dozens of children.
37-year-old Uzan was working as a security guard at the synagogue during a little girl's bat mitzvah party. The temple was filled with guests and children when an armed radical Islamic terrorist attempted to break in. Uzan managed to prevent him from entering but was shot by the terrorist in the process and died instantly. Just over a year after the incident, the Danish government is honoring Uzan for his bravery by naming a new medal of civil honor after him. The decoration will be given to citizens who demonstrate unusual courage while risking their lives in an attempt to save others. Several other commemorative events were held in Denmark to mark the one-year anniversary of the terror attack, including a 2-mile march from the Jewish Cultural Center to the synagogue, which was attended by Danish officials.
A recent breakthrough in curing cancer is being hailed worldwide. But what you might not know is that the research actually started in Israel.
Professor Zelig Eshar began researching a new cancer cure at the Weizmann Institute in Israel years ago. Now everyone's talking about the recently released American study, where patients suffering from a form of leukemia saw their disease go into remission after being treated with genetically modified T cells.
It was scary, it was terrifying for all of us, and we made that decision for her, and it happened to be the best decision we can ever make.
Unlike most cancer treatments, the T cells navigate their way through the body to attack cancerous cells, while leaving healthy cells untouched. Current therapy methods like radiation and chemotherapy destroy both good and bad cells, which severely weakens the immune system.
If you can get T cells to become part of the immunological memory, the chances of the leukemia or a cancer relapsing becomes much less, because once the cancer pops its head up again, the immune cells are still there in the background getting ready to recognize and kill off any small number of cancer cells that have relapsed.
Professor Eshar has been conducting T-cell research on rats for over a decade, and his work paved the path for the American researchers to conduct the study on humans. The professor says the researchers' next goal will be to expand the test to fight other forms of cancer, which won't be easy.
We have the understanding now to redirect and engineer the immune system. As we become more proficient and efficient at doing that, I'd see it extending out to larger groups of patients.
It's important to sound a note of caution here. This is a very small study. These treatments don't work for all types of cancers, and they can have very severe side effects.
It looks like a professional Israeli soccer player is headed to the United States to try out for an entirely different sport. Gal Mesika will become the first Israeli ever to try out for the NFL.
The 27-year-old from Herzliya has impressed lots of football coaches with his outstanding abilities as a kicker, including the owner of the New England Patriots. Mesika is relatively new to American football, but he's now been invited to Arizona next month to try out for the NFL. Pro scouts will attend the combine, in which unsigned players get a chance to demonstrate their skills. For the past decade, Mesika has been a goalkeeper in the top tiers of Israeli soccer. He's even played as a member of Israel's under-19 and under-21 national teams. Last year, Mesika joined the Israeli national team in American tackle football, and he ended up serving as the team's kicker in their victory over Spain last summer. Mesika says his dream is to play in the NFL, and that he hopes to represent Israel.
And now for our Hebrew word of the day. Today, Israel honored several important Israelis for their incredible strength. So today's word is chazak, which means strong in Hebrew. The word chazak is used a lot in biblical times, and rabbis today still say it during services. In some Jewish traditions, the phrase chazak, chazak, venitchazek is even said at the end of reading the Torah, which means be strong, and may we be strengthened. But we hope you know by now that modern Israelis turn basically every word into slang, and chazak is no exception. Israelis use chazak to describe someone as strong, but they also use a word to show they're impressed. If an Israeli sees a great play in a soccer game, for example, and yells out, "Eze chazak," he's amazed. It makes sense that the word chazak is used to say great, since Israelis really value strength and perseverance. So if someone calls you chazak, definitely take it as a compliment. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. The weekend is finally here. Friday should be sunny with a high of 76, so it's a perfect day to head over to the beach. Saturday is expected to be rainy in the morning, but the temperature should stay relatively warm with a high of 66. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.9 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at ILTV.tv, and don't forget to check out our evening update every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tonight.